The wind screamed across the ice like a living thing. It tore at skin. It crushed breath from lungs. It erased footprints within seconds. In this place, mistakes are not forgiven. They are buried. In 1910, 5 men walked into the most hostile environment on Earth and never walked out. Their leader was Captain Robert Falcon Scott, a decorated naval officer, a national hero, a man driven by ambition, pride, and duty. Their mission was simple to say and impossible to survive: be the first humans to stand at the South Pole. What followed was not just a failed expedition, but one of the most harrowing survival tragedies ever recorded. This is the story of their final days, their fatal miscalculations, their slow descent into exhaustion, starvation, and death, and the frozen mystery they left behind. At the dawn of the 20th century, the world was nearly mapped. Nearly. One place remained untouched: Antarctica. A continent larger than Europe, colder than anything humans had ever endured. A blank white void that promised glory or annihilation. To conquer Antarctica was to claim immortality, and Britain wanted that immortality. Captain Robert Falcon Scott had already tasted Antarctic ice once before. His first expedition, the Discovery Expedition, had come close to greatness, but fallen short. This time would be different. This time, Scott would win. In 1910, Scott launched the British Antarctic Expedition. Aboard the ship Terra Nova, it was a massive, ambitious undertaking, scientific, nationalistic, and deeply personal. But Scott was not alone. Unknown to him at first, a rival expedition was already racing south: a Norwegian named Roald Amundsen. Unlike Scott, Amundsen had one goal, and one goal only: reach the South Pole first. This was no longer exploration. It was a race. Scott's expedition relied on a mix of methods, some modern, some dangerously outdated. Motor sledges, man-hauling, ponies. Yes, ponies. While Amundsen relied on dogs and ruthless efficiency, Scott believed in British endurance, human strength, moral resolve. But Antarctica does not respect resolve. The ponies began dying almost immediately. The motor sledges failed. Men were forced to pull hundreds of pounds of supplies by hand, step by agonizing step across endless ice. Fuel depots were laid too far apart. Food rations were insufficient. The caloric demands of the environment were catastrophically underestimated. Still, Scott pushed forward. Turning back meant failure, and failure was unthinkable. On January 17th, 1912, after months of suffering, after dragging their bodies across more than 800 miles of ice, Scott and 4 companions reached the South Pole. What they found shattered them. A flag. Not British. Norwegian. Amundsen had beaten them by 34 days. Scott wrote in his journal, "Great God, this is an awful place." The victory they had sacrificed everything for was gone. But worse than disappointment was what followed. Now they had to go home. The return journey was a slow-motion catastrophe. Their bodies were breaking down. Starvation weakened muscles. Scurvy gnawed at joints and gums. Frostbite turned flesh black and brittle. One man fell behind. Edgar Evans collapsed first, disoriented, injured, dying. He did not recover. Soon after, Lawrence Oates realized he was becoming a burden. His feet were destroyed by frostbite. Every step slowed the group. Then came the words that would echo through history. "I am just going outside, and maybe some time." Oates stepped into the blizzard and was never seen again. Scott and the remaining 2 men pressed on, but the weather turned vicious. Blizzards trapped them inside their tent for days. Fuel ran out. Food vanished. They were only 11 miles from a supply depot. 11 miles. They never made it. Scott's final journal entries were calm, composed, hauntingly dignified. He wrote letters to the families of the dead, to the British public, to his wife. His last words were a quiet plea. "For God's sake, look after our people." Months later, a search party found their tent, buried beneath snow. Inside were the bodies, frozen in time. Their journals preserved their final thoughts, a record of courage, suffering, and human fragility. Antarctica had claimed them. Scott's expedition did not fail because of one mistake. It failed because of many. Underestimating calories, overestimating endurance, poor depot placement, rejecting dogs, ignoring warnings, trusting hope over reality. Antarctica punished every error without mercy. Amundsen, by contrast, returned alive, efficient, prepared, and pragmatic. The difference was not bravery. It was planning. Today, Scott is remembered not as a fool, but as a symbol of ambition, of sacrifice, of the price humans pay when they challenge nature without humility. Modern Antarctic explorers carry GPS, satellite phones, advanced nutrition, and detailed climate data. But they still walk where Scott died, and they still feel it. The silence, the cold, the reminder that Antarctica does not care who you are, only whether you are prepared. Why do humans keep going? Why push into darkness, cold, and death? Perhaps because the unknown calls to us. Because we measure ourselves against the impossible. And because somewhere, deep inside, We believe we can survive what others could not. Captain Scott believed that, and Antarctica proved him wrong.